They did scans on her, and the tumor was hanging by a small portion of tissue. In the next 3 days, she passed the tumor. That's called apoptosis, something that cannabis is very good at doing, instructing cancers how to die. So, yes, the miracles are all the time with us. We see them all the time. We see them literally every day. Yes, my name is Mark Pedersen. My organization is CPN Institute. Also, another organization is ECS Therapy Centers. Is what we do. We're a not-for-profit. What we do is we provide help to people in the way of counseling. We counsel people. We provide dosing information and different things of that nature as well. Also, too, I make cannabis oil. I make cannabis oil currently mostly for pediatrics right now, range from the age of 1 on up. Currently have 8 pediatrics I care for, all terminal, and a number of adults as well. So I make cannabis oil. I make FICO, full extract cannabis oil.
Now, we know the FDA is going against anyone who's making any claims of CBDs helping people. Without jeopardizing anything legally, can you tell us some of the effects that you personally saw with individuals and their effects, and some of the stories of people's lives being changed in a legal term so the FDA can't get you?
Well, all of our kids it's all totally legal what we do for our children, and basically our children, I gift the oil to the children. The parents are too poor to be able to enter any dispensary, so they they basically would have to die if I hadn't provided it for them. I could tell you stories about little Nova Lee. Little Nova Lee, her parents came from Austin, Texas. She was born with an illness called schizencephaly. She only has 24% of her brain. She also has a non-functioning pituitary gland. For this, she basically started having seizures at 6 months. She's currently 3 years old, but her parents basically the only treatments they had for this child. The child only has 24% of her brain. Well, the only treatments was a drug that would cause permanent blindness, and the other treatment was to actually surgically remove 2/3 of what she has remaining in her brain. The parents opted instead to take in haul all their earthly possessions out and set them beside the dumpster, pack up their little car. Hey, how you doing? Pack up their little car and headed for Colorado Springs. I was in touch with them in transit. We made up a regimen for the mom, and the mom picked it up, took it home. First dose stopped the baby's seizures. This is the surgeons in Austin, Texas said there was no physical way that the oil could possibly stop the baby's seizures. I've stopped pediatric seizures, another child, in as little as 3 minutes. And that's when there is no other drug that could do that, no man-made drug. The only thing that could have stopped would have been general anesthetic, and still the seizure activity would have gone on. Some of my children have actually been tested, and even at night, and even stopped nighttime seizures as well. So shrank tumors. I can tell you the story about my partner Regina Nelson. Her daughter came from Michigan. She was diagnosed with stomach cancer in Michigan. They wanted to remove 3/4 of her stomach. That was the only thing that they could do for her. Instead, she came down here, moved in with us down in Colorado Springs. After 3 weeks of being on my oil and on raw cannabis juice, we had to rush her to the hospital. She was having severe abdominal pain. She was vomiting blood and passing a stool. They did scans on her, and the tumor was hanging by a small portion of tissue. In the next 3 days, she passed the tumor. That's called apoptosis, something that cannabis is very good at doing, instructing cancers how to die. So, yes, the miracles are all the time with us. We see them all the time. We see them literally every day. It's far more than you ever see in the regular press. It's not out there. The real truth. Now, what I'm talking about, this is THC-rich cannabis oil. A lot of the press going on about CBD-rich oil. I make CBD oil as well, but what we find is that the children it's not as efficient unless a child has Dravet syndrome. Dravet is particularly effective. CBD is particularly effective against Dravet syndrome, which is only one form of seizure disorder. There are many, many others. So what we do is we use CBD as an adjunct therapy.
Because I hear a lot saying that CBD is kind of the miracle chemical within marijuana, but you're saying you're seeing responses with individuals if there's a little bit percentage of THC also mixed in with the CBDs?
No, actually with predominantly THC. We use CBD as an adjunct, as a supplement. Actually, the CBD particularly beneficial when we're getting children and adults off of pharmaceutical meds, the withdrawal symptoms, which quite often cause seizures. The medications that these children and adults are being given for seizure disorder actually cause seizures. So getting them off, we have to deal with the cause that causes the seizure. We have to deal with the seizure. We have to deal with the drugs that the conventional drugs are given as well. You know, and even in spite of all that, we're seeing miracles. Now, CBD, it has a lot to do with your endocannabinoid system and the way the cannabinoids interface with that. Phytocannabinoids. THC particularly mimics anandamide, where CBD particularly mimics another one called 2-HE. THC is particularly effective because it fits in the cannabinoid receptors, fits well in there. CBD does not. CBD kind of sits out of the way. It modulates and it works quite well, but the THC is actually what opens the cannabinoid receptors, so that makes the CBD work better. Cannabinoids must work synergistically to get the premium effect.
See, I didn't know that at all in any shape or form. So this is really, really good information. What kind of hurdles are you guys facing when it comes to regulations and big government?
Well, it's a continual problem, but you know, our issue is more. It's more with the industry and the effects here. This is a very imperfect system we have. You know, this is not legalization. This is just another version of prohibition. And the problem with that, I've already testified twice before the state here in Colorado since moving here. And the issue has been more and more controls, more and more regulation, making it more difficult. Trying to shut down the caregivers and shut down the local growers and people, the oil makers like me. You know, the people we provide for will never step foot in a dispensary, okay? 90% of the people in this state who really need cannabis don't have access because it's cost prohibitive. We've got to take and make it more legal. We have to make it legal, per se. The bill I wrote for the state of Missouri, the Missouri Cannabis Restoration Protection Act, there is no other bill like it in the country. My bill makes cannabis the same as any other agricultural crop. So we must make it this way if we want everyone who needs it to have access.
What kind of regulations and what kind of rules do they throw at you or other individuals who are trying to get this kind of oil out there to help people?
Well, we're continuing to restrict how many people we can take and treat. How many people, anytime you restrict access, you're making it where people can't get to it. You know, like I said, the reason why my kids have oil is because I'm giving it away. You know, otherwise they wouldn't be able to buy it. So we have got to have channels. We have to have the means in which we can get the oil to the people who actually really need it.
So what needs to get done, and how can people get involved to help you out?
Support my bill. That would help a lot. My bill is currently being considered in other states. The language for the Missouri Cannabis Restoration Protection Act is being considered in California, Nevada, Oklahoma. It's actually been drafted into a House bill in Louisiana. A number of different states are considering this language, considering what it would be like if we actually got what we really want. Cannabis is non-toxic. It will not hurt you. As an oil maker, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm a cook. I can teach anyone how to make cannabis oil. We can take and we can heal people of cancers and seizure disorders. You don't have to be a doctor to make that happen.
Can people find a copy of your bill online and try to introduce it in their local city council?
Absolutely. More than definitely. I'd be more than happy to work with people in their states, if possible. There are 16 states across the country that can do a direct initiative. States that can do an initiative, there are those who can do an indirect initiative, like Nevada. This is a means in which we can bypass lawmakers and we can take an initiative and we can put it on a ballot without their interference. You know, this is a way in which we can bring about what we really and truly want in this nation, and that is to make cannabis truly legal.
Now, where can people find you, and is there anything else you want to say?
Absolutely. You can find us at CPNInstitute.org. You can also find us at myecs.org also. I'll have to give you my card on that one.
It'll be in the description below.
There you go. It's a brand new one. Come here. Here. This is my partner, Regina Nelson. Bob in here. Can you give me the URL for ECS?
myecstherapy.org.
There we go. Awesome.
And is there anything else you'd like to say to the people out there?
Why don't you add something? Would you like to?
I think we need evidence-based public policy, and we need evidence-based medicine with this, but we need also to learn from patients. They're the knowledge bearers in this, and that's what we do is we go around the country as patients and we talk to other people, and we're hoping to develop a peer counseling group so other patients can understand how to really use this as medicine. That's what's important here. We're raising funds this weekend to help terminally ill children that we've been working with, whose lives have been extended and greatly improved because of what we've done, and we're ready to move forward. We're hoping
we're going to have offices both in Colorado City, also in Quincy, Illinois. Why don't you tell them a little about that?
Yeah, we're opening 2 offices with the My ECS Therapy Center. We're currently recruiting peer counselors to work both remotely with people, and here in Colorado Springs we'll be opening an office in August. In Peoria, Illinois, near Quincy, we'll be opening in October.
And isn't it crazy how you're trying to help people, but you have to face the government who's trying to make sure you don't? Isn't that crazy?
It's absolutely crazy. We're looking at the restrictions in Illinois, and while they have a lot of qualifying conditions, you have to jump through a lot of hoops. It's a very expensive process to get there. That leaves out a lot of the population. In addition, we're not really focused on this as a public health issue. It is. Every single human being has an endocannabinoid system. Instead, we're looking at this as a prohibitionist issue, that we don't want to allow things like this. This has been a very awesome event. There's no violence here. There are no problems. There are people that are, have a healthy habit, and for those who need it as medicine, there are better ways, and they can be learned. And I want to bring in peer counselors and educated step up from bartenders so that our grandmothers and our mothers and our neighbors will come to understand that this is an essential nutrient that we need back.
We've seen many patients since we've been here today, and yesterday, just amazing number of people, chronically and terminally ill people, coming here asking, wanting questions, wanting to know about how to dose, wanting to know how to use these things effectively in their lives.
Son's Brandon Petro. He has a severe form of epilepsy. Currently, we're being investigated by CPS for giving Brandon marijuana extract.
And now there's street dealers waiting for the tourists. They already were there, of course, but now it's exploded, the guys are everywhere.